Hello. Hi. Hope you're swell. Hope you're easy. Hope you're gravy. Let's, there's this channel I watch. It's this Japanese girl. She just does basically she just shows off like Tokyo, Japan in general. Well, she lives around that Tokyo area, so she just shows stuff around that area. And I watch her channel. And she's attractive. But one thing I realized, I suck at, I don't know if this is just me. Yo, this chopstick is, it's falling apart. Anyway. I can't tell the age of people anymore. I think she's in her 30s. She's probably in her 30s. Just because she was talking about how she used to work in this sector and that sector. She just sounds like she's lived a storied life in terms of she had a whole career before she decided to. I think now she manages like a tour. I think she still has a job, but maybe as a side hustle, she has like a tour business where she gives like foreigners tours of Tokyo and stuff like that. And then maybe she has like an office job or something. I don't know. But you know, when she'll be talking about her career, she'll be like, I used to work there, and I used to work there, and I used to work there. I'm like, this person sounds old. Like, it would be shocking if she's around my age and she's had that many jobs. Well, I don't know if it's that many jobs, but you know. I don't know. I really don't know, but I can't tell just by looking at her how old she is. And I've noticed that with pretty much everyone around my age. I used to be able to tell, like, oh, that's a teenager. Because I was a teenager, so I'll be like, that person's my age. I can tell. Now it's very hard. Now it's just, even people who are teenagers, some of them look, bro, some of these kids walk around with beards, bro. Dudes. And you're like, yo, how old? He's like, I'm 17. It's like, nigga. Oh my gosh. So, you know, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Anywho, I saw this video of this girl talking about, man, somebody would be going through it, but like this girl was basically talking about how, I think she's divorced now, but basically she had issues with her ex-husband, I guess, where his family kept getting in the way of the relationship. In the end, according to her, he ended up choosing his family over her. You know, with these internet stories where these girls are like going online and complaining about their relationships, you have to take things with a grain of salt because you're only getting one side of the story. And I'm not a fan of people just airing out their relationships on the internet. I don't think that's a good thing at all. That's a big red flag. I think, look, I talk a lot on this channel about my life and personal experiences, but I do think some things you have to keep private, especially as it pertains to your marriage and stuff like that. That you can't. I hope I never do that. I don't think I will. I do think, yeah, there are things I keep to myself that I don't share here. I share a lot. I get very vulnerable on this channel, but I do think some things you have to just, like, you have to deal with that privately. if I talk about some past relationship, I can talk about it because it's in the past. And I'm no longer with that person. And I never mention anyone by name or anything like that. But I think it's a different thing entirely when you're married and you're just complaining about your husband to the world. That's crazy. You have to deal with that privately. But yeah, I do think her situation it was interesting. It got me thinking. Someone was making a point about how family can get in the way of your relationship a lot of the time. So regardless of whether what she was saying was true or not, I think the basic concept of what she was discussing has truth to it in the sense that I don't think anything should be coming between you and your wife. So if I'm married to a woman, I need to prioritize that relationship. And I'm kind of mulling this over. I'm kind of digesting this because this is something I'm just kind of working on. It's a new thought. So I might abandon it at some point, but it is something I am thinking about. Like no one, I think your wife should be your main priority in terms of your relationships. Number one. Even with children, it's like even if you have kids, and that can sound controversial, but I was just thinking about in terms of if you have a family and your family is a structure, if you think of it as a structure, I'm thinking about what's best for the structure. And look, obviously, it's not purely like some sort of calculation. I'm just running numbers and whatnot. It's like you want to love your wife, you want to be there for her and all that sort of stuff. It feels good, and the reality is, yeah, you have to choose who's getting most of your time, your children or your spouse. I think when they're infants, you have to be there for them as much as possible because they're infants, they can't take care of themselves. But as they grow older, they start approaching adolescence and stuff like that. I think you can loosen the leash a little bit, have more time for you and your spouse, and dedicate more time to your relationship. And the reason why I think that's a good thing is obviously it benefits the relationship, but I think it also benefits the children. Definitely benefits the children. Because look, the alternative, I think if what tends to happen a lot is well, you see this a lot of married couples. They grow distant as the marriage progresses, especially when kids get into the picture. There's less time for the marriage and they grow distant, and a lot of the time that can lead to divorce, and that affects the children in immeasurable ways a lot of the time. Like divorce is a very powerful thing that can really shape children in ways that sometimes are unpredictable, and you don't really see it until later on, right? And you start to notice very strange behavioral patterns and with regards to how they engage with relationships and stuff like that. Some people might have commitment issues because they saw their parents divorce, or they don't want to go through that, so they try and avoid commitment, yada yada yada. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, I think it's a win-win. I think it benefits your children and it benefits the couple, y'all as a couple, if you prioritize your marriage. It's all about understanding structures. if the core of the structure is doing well, that kind of feeds into the other things. I was learning about corals in the sea, corals, corals, and how, you know, it's a specific species of them, and they will act as a harbor for certain sea creatures that dwell there and eat there and all that sort of stuff, and then they benefit, but then and then other the broader ecosystem outside of that benefits as well. So if the coral is thriving, everyone else that benefits from that system thrives as well, because so much is tied to it, right? There's a whole ecosystem that's directly tied to it. So if you think about parents in the same way, you need that marriage to work. And it's actually very interesting because, there's this idea that we get married for the sake of our children. The reason why we get married isn't necessarily for us, it's for our children. So that our children can grow up in the best structure possible. So people will say, therefore, you should prioritize your children. Like, your children should come first. But it's like, well, actually, the reason why I think this is so fascinating is because I think the two things can be true at once, which is that, yes, we can get married for the children so that the children grow up in the best possible household, best possible structure. But in order for that structure to continue to exist, especially like in a form that's sustainable and enjoyable, we should prioritize each other, the marriage. Not to say you neglect your children, but yeah, you're gonna have priorities. You have to put things in order of who gets like the most attention and stuff like that. Obviously, when children are young, when they're infants and when they're growing up in that toddler phase and so on and so forth, obviously they get the most attention. But as they grow up, you can afford to pay less attention as they become more autonomous and make their own decisions. And I think by serving yourselves, you're serving them, which is what I think is fascinating, because it's like a two birds, one stone situation. So it can be true that marriage is for the sake of the children, while also understanding that by necessity you have to prioritize the marriage. If marriage is for the sake of the children, you have to have a good marriage, you have to have a healthy relationship, you have to actually like being together. I think it helps your kids when they see a couple that's genuinely in love, that genuinely enjoys each other's company, and stuff like that. I think that's a healthy household for children to grow up in. Now, look, like I said, this is just something that I'm mulling over in my mind. Could be wrong. I mean, it's not me who came up with this concept. This is, I believe this has been explored in psychology and stuff like that. So it's not an original thought, but it is a compelling one that I'm kind of thinking about and toying with to see if it makes any sense. It makes a lot of sense to me. At least for now it does. But yeah, it's definitely something to consider. I pray that I'm a good father to my children. I always pray that prayer, that I'm a great father, a great husband, and that the family is just healthy and doing well. I want to homeschool my kids so I get to spend as much time with them as I can. You know, with you send them to public school or private school, whatever school, they're spending most of their time there. So really, for however long they're in school for, you're not seeing your kids. You see them like when they come home from school for a few hours or so. But they're growing up in a different environment, apart from you that for like many hours of the day you don't know where they are. You know where they are, but you don't know what they're doing, who they're talking to. I don't like it. I'd want them to be close by, and I get to watch them grow, and I get to form a very, very close bond with them. So I want to be close to my kids. It's just about, like, there will be a hierarchy, there will be a priority, like, who am I closest to? Who gets most of my attention? Is it my children or my wife? I have to pick. And I just don't think it's a good idea to neglect your wife. I think that will affect the children. It will affect everyone. So I think you have to understand in the structure that we have here, like which part of the structure gets priority. What is the core of the structure? What do we place at the center? Because that will determine the longevity of the structure, how healthy it would be as a whole. So that's my kind of mentality on this whole thing. You know, with the internet, it's unfortunate that you can't really have super deep conversations on here. People get very emotional when I say these things. Because I posted this thought on my community tab and someone got very, very emotional. But, yeah, you know, I think it's an interesting thought. I don't think it's something to get upset about. It's just an interesting thought to consider. But I am definitely invested in being a good husband and a good father and all that good stuff, for sure. And I trust that I will be. It's important to me. Definitely is important to me. But yeah. There's another topic I wanted to discuss, but it's spiritual in nature, so I think I'm going to keep that for Saturday for Bible study. I think it'd be a good topic to discuss on Saturday, because then I can just dedicate the whole video to it, and I know that, yeah, I think that would be the move. Dedicate that to Saturday. Yeah, yesterday I made this tomato soup. It's actually very basic. It was like tomatoes, onion, tomato sauce, and some spices. So it's very various herbs and spices. Very basic, but it tasted great. And when you let the onions caramelize, you just get this sweetness that's nice. And the acidity of the tomatoes and the vinegary kind of sweet taste of the tomato sauce, plus like the spice. I added like ground chilies, and then some dried basil, and then there's another thing I added. Oh, like this Portuguese chicken spice. I added that as well. And that was it. And I let it simmer for a while. You just let it boil at a low heat, simmer at a low heat. And when it was time to eat it, it was delicious. I put it over my chicken. Just drenched my chicken in it. And I made two. Because I wanted one for myself. Because, you know, when you're living with family, people always want. My mom has this thing like, oh, how can you just cook for yourself? You need to cook for everyone else. I'm like, what are you talking about? But anyway, just because I don't want to deal with that, I'll cook 2 batches. So I made one for myself that had chicken in it, and then I made one that didn't have chicken, and that was for everyone else. They both tasted good though. I tasted them both. Bro, you know what I have to do in this house? Because everyone eats a lot faster. They eat more than me and they eat faster than me. So I tend to separate. So for example, if I cook chicken in the oven, I'll separate my pieces and put them in a lunchbox. And then I tell everyone that this is that the pieces in this lunchbox, don't touch them. This is mine. Because what happens is I'll eat very slowly, right? Or like I eat like twice a day. I usually skip lunch. I eat in the morning. I usually skip lunch and then I eat in the evening. So already I'm at a disadvantage because I'm skipping lunch while everyone else is eating. And on top of that, I usually might take 1 piece of chicken. Everyone else is taking 2. So they end up finishing everything very quickly, and I didn't get my portion. They ate my share of the food as well, and it just started getting annoying. So I was just like, I need to start separating. Like this is y'all share from that container, and then I have my own little container that has my portion of food in it, and they'll finish theirs in a couple days. Mine will last like a week because I just eat very slowly. You know? Anyway. Very short video today. Very short video. Hope you enjoy. Father God, I thank you for this day. With all things right now, thank you for making them whole and making them down on the path towards peace, prosperity, and purpose. Thank you for blessing this person with wonderful people in the life who love them, take care of them, bring out the best out of them, and thank you for maintaining them once they're to do the same thing. Thank you for blessing this person with love and marriage and sustaining the love and marriage and making it very, very happy. Thank you for blessing this person with a spirit of gratitude so they can give thanks for all the wonderful things in their life. And by giving thanks, they can find peace, contentment, and attract even more blessings. Let your presence be felt in this person's life, so know that you're God, that you're real, that you love them, and yours be there for them. Good health, long life, and happiness for this person, over the care, body, mind, and pray. Jesus, I pray. Amen, amen, amen.